I'm going to build a new Tiny Whoop for 2018 with all new state-of-the-art parts and retire this old boy. What do you think of that, buddy? I don't think he's too happy. Hi, I'm Joel Lightcatcher. Thanks for joining me again on another episode of Quadcopter Coach. Today we're going micro with Tiny Whoops. Now, Tiny Whoops are these little micro drones, and they're made to fly inside. You know, I love these 5-inch outdoor quads, but you know, when the weather's bad outside, this is a wonderful thing. For great indoor flying, you can make all kinds of obstacles, and they're a ton of fun. It's a different experience than this, but it's still a lot of fun. Now, normally people in the Northeast love to do these in the wintertime when it's snowing out and the weather's terrible. But here in Florida, these are for summertime use when it's too oppressively hot and humid and thunderstorming outside. So I get to fly these inside when the weather is terrible outside. And that's the beauty of these. So you can do both. It's cool. Also, these are a lot less money. These little motors here, a set of 4 of these motors costs less than one of these motors. So there's a real economy to this. So let's talk about how we're going to be doing this build today. This little mini quad started out as a Horizon Hobby Inductrix, the original model that I bought in 2016. And it wasn't doing so well, so I took out the flight controller and the camera, put it in a new frame, gave it new motors, gave it a fire red canopy, and got it some new batteries. And it did pretty well, but it's kind of squirrely. I wanted to get something really cool. So this is what we did. We started with a Cockroach Frame, and I got this red one from tinywhoop.com. And I kind of like this color. I should find it easily. And I'm going to pair it with these Lumenier motors, and I believe these are 1700 RPM motors, which should give it some punch. And you can see the color is really cool there. That's going to look nice together. And we're going to pair that with some white props and this high voltage 1-cell battery. But to fly all this, we need some electronics. To power our new micro quad, we're going to be using this. This is a newbie drone BeeBrain V2 set. It's a combo controller. It has the flight controller ESC package, plus a video transmitter, plus a camera, plus an antenna. It's about $10 more than getting all the parts separately, but it's super convenient and it's really cool. We're going to put this on the bench and show you what's in the box. This is everything we need to build our mini quad. We got our frame, our motors, our electronics, our propellers, and our battery. The only other thing we need is a little screwdriver. There is absolutely no soldering needed at all on this project. So let's start by opening up these packages and seeing what we've got. We're going to start with the Cockroach Frame, and I turned the lights down just because of all the reflection on here so you get a better picture. And this is basically it. And we open it up. And you can see it's a one piece, and it's pretty light. Let's put it on the scale and see how much she weighs. 4 grams. Next we have the motors by Lumenier. Let's go open up this package and see what we have. We have 4 motors, and the interesting thing about these is you'll see this. We have black and white. We have black and white wires, and we have this red and black. And 2 of them are clockwise and 2 are counterclockwise. We'll find out which are which in just a moment. The propellers I chose for no particular reason are the Black Sheep Tiny Whoops, and they are made just for us. As we see when we open them up, we got 4. You'll notice we got 2 clockwise, 2 counterclockwise, which is what we need. We'll talk more about that in a few minutes. And by the way, one of the reasons I got all these is I just thought they'd look really cool together. And then we add this, well, you'll see it looks amazing. Lastly, we got our newbie drone, BeeBrain V2 set. I've opened this up once to make it easier, and there it is. We just take it out, and there it is. It's all in one. Right now it's being held together with this little rubber band that we're going to take off in a moment. But there's our antenna, camera, video transmitter, and our flight controller. It also comes with all these parts, and I'm going to just spill them into this tray here. I don't want to lose anything. And we've got 4 dampeners, 4, maybe 5 screws, some O-rings to help control our wire management. And yeah, we've got exactly what we need here. Okay, so let's start looking at this, and we have this little rubber band. I think the easiest thing to do is just take little snippers and cut that off, because we'll never be using this piece of rubber again. There is our power connector already attached. By the way, you'll notice this battery, this is a high power battery, and if we open it up, you'll see it has a different connector than the old Tiny Whoop. Much bigger, made for higher power. On the bottom side of the board, we have our USB connector and our connectors for the 4 motors. Mounted on top of that, this is the video transmitter and a nice little case for the camera. And by the way, I noticed this when I looked at it before. They've already locked the focus in. You may not be able to see this. There's a little piece of shiny glue right there. So this has already been pre-focused. So that's very cool. By the way, one of the fascinating things about this board, this is the reason why I really wanted this, is this runs full BetaFlight with OSD, just like my full-size quadcopters. And I really missed that when I was flying the Inductrix flight controller here, which has no anything. You can't even get rates on it. It's just horizon mode. This I can do full acro on, just like a full-size quad. So I am so excited to put this in. Before we begin, let's talk about the frame. There's a front and a back. And if you'll notice, as I flip this over, we have these little angled pieces here. That is telling me that this is the back of the frame. Back. And the square end there, this is the front of the frame. This flies this way, forward. Now, there's something else we need to know. The way that the propellers rotate. The propellers always spin inward. We have our clockwise, and we have our counterclockwise. Notice how the propellers spin inward. This is very important because we need to get these oriented like such. So the blades are facing inward when we put them on. It's also important about the motors. The motors with the black and purple wire spin clockwise. So this one's going to go here, and this one's going to go here. The black and white wires spin counterclockwise, and that one's going to go there, and that one's going to go there. So that's very important to know. So let's go insert the motors now and get that out of the way. So now that we know where they go, we take this wire and we slide it in. This is a very quick installation. Now when you put it in, there's a little nub at the bottom there, and we want to make sure that the wires don't get caught in that nub. So you might want to orient them just right, and you just push them down like that. I hope you have some nails because they come in handy with the pushing. Again, that's the rear. Then we're going to have this one. Slide the wire through the hole. Very simple, orient it so we kind of bridge that little nub at the bottom, and they'll bottom out on the nub. And we got this one right here. Make sure those wires are aimed towards the center also of the quad, going through the inside hole. You want them coming out the inside hole, not the outside hole. And the last one. If you make mistakes, they just slide out again. Just make sure you don't pull them by the shaft. That would be bad. You could damage it. Then you'll have to buy some more motors, which you'll do anyway. Okay, there we go. And all the motors have the wires coming in on the inside. Done. Next part is we're going to have to work with this. Now to get this is super easy. We have these little mounting posts right there, and we have holes for that here. So we're going to get our parts, and we're going to need our screwdriver. And by the way, this can be very tricky. Sometimes I find it's helpful to get a pair of angled pliers, because sometimes it's easier just to hold them in position like that when you start your screw. Anyway, that's just a little trick. So now that we got this, let's go take this, and some people say it's best to get this little connector through one of these support holes to get it out of the way. And that seems a little harder to do than it looks. So I'm going to try and get this way. And remember, this is the back with the curved piece, and this is the front. And that would fit like that. Before we put those down, we need to get these little dampeners on, and those go on the board. That's one. Be careful you don't tear them, because they're not the most durable thing. They're made to absorb the vibration. Oh, very important. That's the wire is the antenna. Be careful. Do not break that wire. This happens to be a DSMX version, because I'm running Spectrum. You can get this for Free Sky as well. Same price. No, I'm not getting any sponsorship money. I bought this with my own money. Come on, get in there. Let's see if I can keep them in there. Sometimes they fall off before you get them in place. Yeah, kind of roll them a little. That kind of helps a little bit. Okay, now that we got that, again, that's the back. Camera faces forward. And I'm going to put this in through the side. I'd like to put it in to the bottom, but I hear that sometimes can get in the way of the battery. So I'm going to be a little creative, and I'm going to put it on the side like that. And then these just, get rid of this. And then these just fit right down on those nubs. Just fit them, get them over, and push it down. That's it. It's on there. Next thing is we're going to need our screws. We need to get this right there over those holes. And by the way, again, this is the antenna. We got to be careful with this antenna. I want that going out the back way. And that goes right over. Make sure your antenna's underneath. And that goes right over that. See there? We'll take our screws. And here's where I get creative. I like to hold that in place as I get that there and get it started. Once you, see how easy that is? You know what? I'm going to make this easier on myself. I'm going to take this there we go again. And this is why I like to use the tweezers. I'm going to start with the back one that doesn't hold anything but the board down. Get in the hole, screwdriver, and give it some turns. I find it's a lot easier if you put your finger below when you turn and get that snugged up, just like that. And make sure the antenna is underneath the plastic. This is your receiver antenna. It's very important that it is not binding with anything. I'm going to start with the front. And you don't need to use the tweezers. I just find it useful in getting the screws in there because they are so small, and you do not want to drop a screw. Again, I like to put my finger underneath there as I slide that in. Yep, that's in good. Magnetic parts trays are great for holding your screws in place, and I just dropped one Well, lucky they give me a spare. There's another screw somewhere lost on this table. I'll find it later. Not too far. And that's not quite over the hole. So let's kind of manipulate that a little bit. Oh, look, that it looks like the rubber grommet came out. So let's see if we can get that right back in place and on the post. All these pieces are pretty flexible. And there goes the screw. It's in there somewhere. By the way, if you lose a screw, sometimes they stick to the motors. Ah, see? There's one lost screw stuck to the motor. And there's the other lost screw stuck to the motor. See, it didn't quite get that in the hole. I like the angled tweezers personally. I like how they stay out of my eyes and fingers' way. All right, see, that just goes right down there. Boom. We got just one more to do. I'm a righty, so I always like to turn this around like that. Okay, that's pretty much it. The motor is on secure. Just make sure I got it all nice and snug. So we don't want these coming out. I have had these come out before on on my other quad. See, that one's not quite tight enough. I want to feel some resistance, because I don't want to have to go ordering last minute screws. And we have, oh, this little clip there. That is for this. Just put that right in there, and that goes right up the top. We're almost done. Next, we got to plug in these wires. And the wires just go to the most closest point. So just check the orientation of those little pins. And some people like to use tweezers with these. By the way, I like to use this little smudger because it's really helpful to, when you get it on there, to push it down. And just plug them into the closest port. Some people also, oh, here's a trick I didn't tell you. I'm going to have to undo that one. Twist these up a little bit. Makes them a little neater. Should have done that before I did the other one. So I'll unplug that and do that in a minute. Just make sure you don't break any connections there, because then you'll need a crimper to fix it. Okay, I love the purple color. Isn't that cool? Everything's purple on this little quad. Come on, get in there, you. There it goes. Then a little twist. You don't have to be crazy about it. Just a little twist helps keep the wires together. One of the things about these mini quads is you don't get crazy life out of the battery. You don't get crazy life out of the motors. The motors have to be thought of as consumables. And here's the one that I want to unplug. And I may want to use the tweezers to help pull that out. forgot to twist it. Okay, really easy to do. A little twist, doesn't matter the direction. Just want to help the wires to stay together. Get that oriented right. All right, now we got to just get these wires managed a little better, and that's what these little rubber thingies are for. So just pull these back a little bit and slide them over the motors. These are like, what do you call them, brace retainers. Kids use them with their braces. Maybe you might remember these when you were a kid. And it just slides on there. So only one other thing to do and we're done here. And it's nice that Newbie Drone gives you some spare parts when you're done. So we got some of these wild wires here, so let's just kind of tuck them in. Just take, I don't want to use my tweezers because they're kind of sharp, but just, you know, get these tucked in any crevice. Get them out of the way because we don't want any damage to our motor wires. Just neaten that up a little. Again, you're going to be changing these motor wires out like, I don't know, people say every 4 or 5 hours. Your mileage may vary. There we go. That's all done. You built a quadcopter. How long did that take us? Now, the last thing we need to do is program this with BetaFlight, and that's what the USB is for. But let's plug this in. Now, I never charge this battery, but let's see what happens. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. It must be a dead battery. Oh, no, we got something. Look. We have a blinking light. All is well. All right, let's get this on BetaFlight, and let's get this hooked up to our computer and put it on BetaFlight and program this thing. By the way, I have the motors off for a reason right now, because I don't want to put the motors on until after I've programmed it in BetaFlight. Then we'll put these on, and that will really look sharp.